Hi there, it's Thursday and it's 12 noon and it's time for my next episode in my continued education series about body system support. So welcome to today's session. I am Tanya Jooste from Botanicamy, an alchemy of soothing botanic ingredients. Today's episode 9. So if you haven't seen the first 8 episodes, just a reminder that you can go and subscribe on my YouTube channel, and then you can go and watch the replays of all the various supports. So basically, every single session has been about a specific body system and how you can support these systems naturally by using essential oils or botanical ingredients. Okay, so whether it's food or additional helpers, exercise, all kinds of other things, but natural ways to approach to support your body to heal naturally, because our bodies are made to heal naturally and detoxify when you're looking after it really well. So welcome to those that have just joined. I can't see names yet because you haven't commented yet, so I can't say hi. There we go. Oh, there's just a time delay. Morning. You're saying morning, Veronica. I know it feels like morning because it's really chilly, but actually it's lunchtime, so we can say good afternoon. So hi, Veronica. Welcome. Also, Nature's Garden by Marie. Very excited to have you on board today. I'm so glad because I know you've actually got load shedding, so I'm hoping your battery lasts for this live class today. Thank you so much for making the effort to be here. And Chucky, Gisela, thank you so much. Yes, I can see all my loyal fans are now logging in. And as the people are starting to log in, just a reminder, I can't say hello to you if you're not commenting because otherwise I don't see the names. Okay, so share the love, share the hearts, share the likes, and let's get you noticed. All right, so let's get started with today. We are going to be talking about respiratory support, and I chose respiratory support because I know it's cold, which is ridiculous, but it's just, it's the 1st of spring or 1st of September, which to us in South Africa means spring is just around the corner. Hi, Jen. Welcome. And what spring means usually for me is, yes, beautiful flowers, absolutely stunningly gorgeous time of the year. It also means that our winds start dying down, especially in Gauteng from our August winds, although there are still some windy days, and there's beautiful flowers. But what that generally tends to bring into my life is a lot of respiratory conditions, because there's a lot of dust in the air, and of course the pollen counts just increase and increase and increase from all these beautiful flowers that we are now going to see really soon. So I definitely need to support my system respiratory wise, especially during this specific seasonal change this time of year. So today we are going to be talking about the respiratory system. Sorry about that. Today we'll be talking about the respiratory system and how you can support that with healthier eating habits. And the reason we're going to talk quite heavily on that is there's a lot of foods that cause mucus to build up, okay? And obviously mucus is not a good thing if you're someone that suffers from respiratory conditions. Yes, we need mucus because it's there for inflammatory responses and all kinds of good processes in our body. But when there's an excess, especially if you're someone that's got a disease called chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, so COPD. I had to look up the acronym here on my notes yet because I just know it is COPD. Those kind of people actually produce an excess of mucus. Okay, so then we start thinking about foods, especially that can actually minimize the excess production of mucus. All right. So let's kick it off. Let's get started. And then obviously I'm also going to be talking about essential oils, because they are what I use in my daily life in a wellness routine to support my body the natural way. All right. So the first things first, breathing, inhaling and exhaling. I'm doing that really slowly, and extending that exhale for a little bit longer than inhaling does a lot more than just the fundamentals of air in and air out, which is the fundamental to human life really. But it does more because it actually puts you back into the rest and digest mode, especially when you're like highly stressed and you're like running around all the time. So the breath is incredibly powerful. And if we dig deeper then into knowing what respiration is really about, respiration is the process of inhaling and warming up the air, because your lungs would get really serious damage if the air was too cold. Filtering the air, and that's obviously through all the nasal, beautiful little hairs in your nose and down your respiratory airways. Oh, we even have my cousin on today. Hello, Erik. Good to see you on. So it's inhaling, warming, filtering, controlling humidity. I mean, how amazing is the human system? And then exhaling the air. All right, I can see Hanli's just joined as well. I'm glad you found the link. I'm just going to wave. There we go. Welcome. So respiratory function, if you think about it, affects every single process in our body. Okay, how magnificent is that? Hello, Mariette. Welcome. Glad you could join today. I believe you are a little bit ill at the moment, so definitely the respiratory support is going to assist you today. So I'm so glad you could join in. I've also got to make a very clear note here that because it affects respiration, affects every single part and every single system in our body, we need to take good care of it, number one, and also know that medical attention is absolutely essential for our respiratory ailment when it becomes severe or persistent. Okay, so when it's been there for quite a while, please go and seek some medical care, because you might not just have a buildup of mucus, you might actually have an infection of some kind that definitely needs a lot of stronger medication that's going to support your body. All right, when you have milder conditions, like we're talking regular environmental threats, when you're someone that reacts quite heavily to dust and pollen, those things can be resolved by using the support of natural and simple home remedies, all right? And a lot of that's got to do with the food that we eat as well as the toxins. So maybe let's talk about toxins first, and then we'll delve into the food, and then we'll go into the essential oils. Hi, Sue, welcome. I'm just going to wave at you on Facebook as well as a hand wave. There we go, because I saw, as soon as I see the waves come through, I automatically wave with my hands first. Okay. Yeah, one of those involuntary movements, I suppose. Okay, so let's first talk about the toxins. Okay, so a lot of respiratory conditions are actually caused by general home cleaners that we use, and things like fabric softener, because there's a word on there in that ingredient list which has sort of got to be a warning sign to you, and that's the word fragrance or perfume, because it's sort of a term that they can use for at least 300 different ingredients. And a lot of those ingredients usually wreak havoc on especially the respiratory system, and especially if you are someone that's a little bit more sensitive and you have an inflammatory reaction that's not healthy, all right? So chronic, because you are exposing yourself to those chemicals all the time. So simply switching to a natural fabric softener, for instance, by using vinegar with some essential oils, you can get that toxic load down a little bit, and it's going to really give your airways a rest. And probably is going to go a long way in supporting clear breathing. All right, Emerentia, welcome. I'm glad you could join today as well. All right, so let's move into the food, because the food is actually a really big role in what is going on with all our mucous membranes, and whether we're having a healthy immune response or inflammatory response, I should say, or not. All right, and the first thing we all need to look at in our diet, and I'm definitely a culprit here, is excessive salt. I really like salty food, but I use Himalayan salt, so I'm always telling myself, yes, but I'm getting in additional minerals, but I know my salt intake is quite high. And surprise, surprise, remember, salt is one of those things that causes you to retain water. And when you retain water or excess water, this can actually cause breathing difficulties and problems, okay? So if you are someone that suffers with quite a lot of respiratory conditions, please have a look at the amount of salt that you're putting into your food, or if you're eating quite a lot of processed food, obviously that's going to be high on the list, because they do use quite a lot of salt to preserve the food, and then obviously not going to be a good thing. All right, and let's run through a list of foods that are what we call mucus causing. Okay, so they're going to produce an excess of mucus. So the first thing is red meat, believe it or not. Obviously all the dairy products, right? So milk, cheese, yogurt, and ice cream, butter. They all can cause an excess of mucus. Eggs, these are also what we know as inflammatory foods. Okay, so if you're on a low inflammatory diet, then obviously you are already cutting out these things. But let's just run through this list so you can see which foods do actually cause an excess of mucus. So we stopped with all the dairy, eggs, bread, because of the gluten that's in there, obviously, in the cereals, pasta. Cereal is on the list, so not just wheat, but all kinds of other cereals actually cause mucus. Bananas, I'm sure you felt that when you eat a banana, there's like excess gooiness in the back of your throat, let's call it that, okay? Cabbage, potatoes, corn and corn products, soy and soy products, sweet desserts, candy, coffee, tea, soda, and alcoholic beverages. That's a very long list. That's 21 things on that list, hey? just that are things that we probably are consuming on a daily basis, and we're not even knowing that we might be causing an additional or an excess of mucus to form. Okay, so if you do suffer from respiratory issues, have a look at those and go and do something about it in your diet. All right, so let's also list 21 foods that reduce mucus. Okay, so we should probably include a little bit more of these. Now, some of these do come with a sort of side warning because it contains things, this good list is salmon and tuna and sardines. All right. Nature's Garden by Marie says, oh no, can you eat anything at all? Yes, I eat. I cook really well, actually, by the way. I eat a lot. But yes, there are a lot of things that I can eat. I know I like salt, okay? So things like salmon, tuna, and sardines are really awesome. But please remember that a lot of our seas are contaminated. And therefore, you're also going to get additional toxins in through heavy metals, if they're saying that it's wild caught. But more than that, if you're getting farmed fish, you're also going to be consuming animals that have been exposed to routine antibiotics, okay? And we also know that that's not really good for the system. All right, flounder, pumpkin seeds. There we go. I'm balancing out my Himalayan salt with pumpkin seeds. I eat a lot of pumpkin seeds. Grapefruit, pineapple, also some of my favorite fruits, watercress, celery, pickles, onion, garlic, honey or agar. So honey, use that as a sugar replacement in all those candies, okay, if you're craving something sweet, because the honey is reducing mucus, whereas the sweet things in the candy are increasing mucus, because usually the candies has got a lot of dairy in them. All right. And then if we're going to go carry on there, I think, yes, I finished with honey, ginger, lemon, cayenne pepper, chamomile, olive oil, broth. So here we're talking bone broth, right? And decaf tea, decaffeinated tea. All right, so there's a very nice long list for you of foods that you should increase or drinks that you should increase if you're trying to get the mucus levels down. Who knew the diet is a really powerful thing? Okay. All right, so that was a nice way to just show you that everything is holistic, right? Everything is connected. And a lot of what goes on in our body is because of the foods that we consume. And you all know that I really love talking about gut health. And a diet is obviously crucial. A good diet with whole foods that are mostly organic is obviously a very important role in general well-being and general health. All right. So now we can go over to another one of my favorites, which is essential oils, because essential oils coming from plants have the ability to support your body with these conditions. All right, so if you're suffering from respiratory issues, and what we're going to look at obviously are oils that are decongestant in nature or have anti-inflammatory properties or even are expectorants. In other words, they're going to help you get rid of that mucus. All right, so the oils that we are going to be looking at obviously include things like or oils that contain chemical constituents, all right? So I'm going to name these because this is my thing, okay? Even if the words don't make sense to you, don't worry about it. You can always come back and listen to the replay, and you can, learn from there, because once you start learning what the chemical constituents are that are going to be beneficial in supporting a certain system, then you can start alternating oils as well, because remember, not all oils work for everyone, and then you can just alternate an oil where a similar chemical or the chemical constituent is sort of in both those oils. I'm going to give you an example. For instance, like lavender and clary sage are both high in linalool, all right? If you don't like lavender, then give clary sage a try, because you are after that chemical constituent that's going to be providing that calming and soothing benefit. Okay, that was just one example. So by learning what chemical constituents are available, you can start swapping out oils. If, for instance, you don't have a specific oil that I'm mentioning in your cupboard, and then you can use something else that's going to have a very similar supporting effect. Okay, so decongestant oils are usually those that contain 1.8 cineol, beta pinene, camphor, camphene and bornyl acetate. And if I'm just going to name the top 5 oils, so the top 5 oils that have these chemical constituents are usually where these constituents are in the essential oil at a higher than 50%. Okay, so it's one of the major components in that essential oil. And the top 5 for decongestant is eucalyptus, rosemary, cardamom, Douglas fir, and Siberian fir. All right. All of those are really herby, beautiful smelling oils, okay? And if you remember a couple of my classes ago, continued education classes ago, I have a snot roller, like a snot away roller. And my snot away roller really does help with taking away the congestion, okay? It's supporting my body to lower the inflammatory reaction. And my snot roller contains rosemary, eucalyptus, and then some of the other oils that I'm going to mention now in the expectorant section. So my snot roller is rosemary, eucalyptus, tea tree, and peppermint. All right. So the tea tree is obviously in there because it supports the immune system because it's got antibacterial properties. Okay. But the other oils that are really good for opening airways and respiratory tracts because it's got a decongestant ability is oils that are high in menthol, alpha-pinene, terpenyl acetates, and cuisines. Okay, so these are the top 6 oils, in other words, higher than 50% of these chemical constituents: peppermint, frankincense, cypress, juniper, cardamom, and myrrh. Okay, and you can see there, well, that's where my peppermint comes from. All right, so those are all going to be beautiful oils. And how would you use them for respiratory support? Well, you could make yourself an essential oil roller. So that's where you're going to be diluting these essential oils in a carrier oil so that you can literally roller it onto the sections where you're feeling a little bit tight and sore and congestion, okay? And it's just going to open your airways, especially when you start breathing it in. Remember, when you smell something mentally, in any case, it's going to start opening the airways, all right? So applying it topically in the areas where you are really congested is a really good way to use these essential oils. And first prize, of course, is obviously in an ultrasonic cold air diffuser, because that way these small little droplets are going into the air and you're breathing them in. And remember what those molecules do. Those molecules or messages get picked up by the olfactory nerve sensors, which sit just below this bone. And then the messages get sent to your limbic brain, okay? And then you're also going to be affecting other things like your mood because of the increase or the decrease of secretion of certain neurotransmitters, because they work holistically. They do a lot more support than just one thing, because we don't use essential oils for symptomatic relief only. We really are there to support our bodies to heal naturally with these essential oils, okay? So that is the long list of essential oils. Maybe I'll just run through them again so you can write them down if you want to. Otherwise, you can always come and listen to the replay. So my favorite oils for decongestant properties, not TID. Eucalyptus, rosemary, cardamom, Douglas fir, and Siberian fir. And then obviously the expectorants are peppermint, frankincense, cypress, juniper, cardamom, and myrrh. Okay, so hopefully you found today's session useful, because in the coming days, the pollen counts are going to pick up. So please do remember that you can use these essential oils, and remember those mucus reducing foods as well. Okay, so if you're someone that suffers quite a lot and right through the year, not just when there's a season change, you should definitely be looking at your diet, because you are probably consuming something on a regular basis that is just not helping your body, and it's going to start just increase the production of mucus when it's not necessary. All right, so thank you so much for joining in today. Next week we will be tackling our next system in the body. Until then, see you soon. Bye-bye.